Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes the most powerful person in the room ain't the loudest one. Sometimes it's the one who doesn't ask for attention, who doesn't follow the crowd, who doesn't look back to see who's watching her. That woman, she walks alone. But let me tell you something, she ain't alone. No, sir. She's guided by something bigger, something higher, something eternal. You see, when God has his hand on you, you don't need a map, you don't need applause, you don't even need company. All you need is faith the size of a mustard seed and the courage to keep walking. Alone if you have to. People might whisper. They'll say she's strange, say she's lost, but baby, she's not lost. She's led by grace, led by fire, led by something the world can't see and the world can't shake. That kind of woman, you don't break her. You don't move her. She's been through storms that would have drowned others, but she walks with dry feet. She's been through darkness, but she's the one who learned how to shine without the spotlight because she knows when the world goes quiet, that's when God speaks loudest. And I'm telling you, if you're that woman, don't wait for the world to catch up. Keep walking, keep praying, keep standing. Don't chase approval. Don't run toward comfort. Stay on your path. You're not alone. You've got divine direction. You were called. You were chosen. And sometimes being chosen means being set apart. So let them talk, let them doubt, let them walk away. You keep walking. Because the woman who walks alone, she's not just walking, she's rising. And heaven is guiding every single step. Inner strength is forged in solitude. It's in the quiet moments when no one's watching that a woman learns who she truly is. Not when the crowd is cheering, not when the compliments are rolling in, but when it's just her, the silence and the weight of her own thoughts. That's where strength is born. Not the kind of strength the world praises, but the kind that lasts. The kind that doesn't break when life gets hard. The kind that doesn't need applause to keep going. When she's alone, she's faced with her fears, her doubts, her insecurities. There's no one to distract her from them, no noise to drown them out. But instead of running, she leans in. She wrestles with them. She prays, she cries, and in that raw space, something starts to build, a foundation, a core, a voice that says, "You've got this, keep going." And that voice doesn't come from outside, it rises from within. Solitude teaches her resilience. It shows her she can survive without being carried. It teaches her patience because strength isn't rushed. It's carved out through endurance, through the refusal to quit, even when quitting feels easier. It sharpens her focus because when she's not trying to please everyone else, she remembers what she truly wants. It teaches her that peace isn't found in the presence of others, it's found in being whole with herself. And when she finally steps out from that solitude, the world sees the glow. They see the calm in her eyes, the firmness in her steps. But they don't see the hours she spent in the dark building that light. They don't see the battle she fought to stand unshaken. That's because real strength, true strength, isn't announced, it's earned in the alone. God's guidance often comes in silence, not noise. It doesn't always arrive with thunder, flashing signs, or loud declarations. More often it whispers. It settles into the stillness, gently pressing on the heart, almost too quiet to notice, unless you're listening closely. In a world that never stops talking, where opinions are shouted, answers are demanded, and distractions come from every direction, it takes a different kind of strength to pause, to be still, and to tune in to the voice that doesn't compete for attention. There are moments when everything around you feels chaotic, people pulling you one way, responsibilities pulling you another, and in the middle of all that, you start searching for answers, for direction, for a sign. But God doesn't always move through the obvious. Sometimes He speaks clearest when everything else is quiet. He leads through peace, through intuition, through an unexplainable calm that settles deep in your chest when you know the next step, even if it doesn't make sense to anyone else. In silence, your soul has space to breathe. Your spirit can rise above the clutter. That's where discernment is sharpened, where decisions are no longer reactions but reflections. It's where God moves in the background, shifting things into place, aligning moments and people according to a plan you can't yet see. And all the while, His presence doesn't shout, it doesn't rush. It simply waits for you to slow down enough to hear. It takes faith to trust silence. It takes courage to believe that just because it's quiet doesn't mean nothing is happening. Because some of God's greatest work is done behind the scenes, in the stillness, in the quiet places where no one else is watching. That's where guidance becomes clear, not in the noise, but in the silence. Walking alone means walking in purpose, not isolation. There's a difference between being alone and being lonely. One drains you, the other builds you. When a woman walks alone, people may assume she's been left behind or cast aside, but what they fail to see is that she chose the path not because no one wanted to walk with her, but because she knew exactly where she was going, and she knew not everyone was meant to come. That's purpose. That's clarity. That's conviction. Purpose doesn't always come with company. Sometimes it calls you into places where no one can follow, not because you're unworthy of support, but because the assignment is personal, the growth is internal. The calling is sacred, and while others are seeking comfort in crowds, you are learning to find power in solitude. You're not just walking, you're being prepared, being refined, being positioned. Every step is intentional, even if it feels slow. Every pause has meaning, even if no one else understands it. When you walk in purpose, your direction is vertical, not horizontal. You're not looking side to side for approval. You're looking upward for instruction. You know your walk is not a detour, it's a destiny. It's the road less traveled because it's not meant for the many. It's meant for the chosen. The noise of the world might try to convince you that being alone means you've failed, that you've been abandoned. But that's a lie. What it really means is that you've stopped settling, you've stopped shrinking, you've stepped into alignment with something greater than trends, opinions, or timelines. You've chosen the narrow path, the path with weight, the path with promise. And while it may look like isolation from the outside, on the inside, it's purpose in motion, guided by something far bigger than yourself. A woman on a divine path doesn't need validation. She moves with a confidence that can't be measured by likes, applause, or agreement. Her steps aren't dictated by popularity or permission, because her direction comes from a higher source. When God sets her on a path, she doesn't wait for the world to understand it. She walks it anyway, not with arrogance, but with assurance. Not with noise, but with certainty, because she knows that when heaven assigns you, no earthly opinion can define you. Validation is loud, it's fleeting, it's inconsistent. One moment they cheer, the next they question. But divine purpose doesn't waver like that. It doesn't shift based on external voices. It stands firm, even when it's misunderstood. Especially when it's misunderstood, because when you're walking in alignment with something eternal, the temporary reactions of others lose their power. This woman isn't rebellious, she's obedient. Obedient to the quiet voice inside that tells her when to move, when to wait, when to speak, and when to stay silent. She's not looking for confirmation from the crowd. She's already received it in prayer, in stillness, in the deep knowing that her journey is not random. She doesn't need to post about every move or explain every decision. because her confidence isn't performative, it's spiritual. The world may wonder why she walks differently, why she chooses differently, why she doesn't chase what everyone else is chasing. But that's the mark of someone walking with purpose. She doesn't need to prove anything. She just needs to remain faithful, because the divine doesn't seek validation. It carries its own weight. And when a woman knows that God is with her, she no longer asks for permission to become who she was always meant to be. She simply becomes. Faith is louder than fear. Fear has a voice that can be deafening, a voice that rises up in the quietest moments and tries to convince you that you're not enough, that you're not capable, that the road ahead is too hard, too dangerous. Fear speaks in what ifs, and you can't. It tries to paralyze you, to stop you from moving, from acting, from believing. But faith doesn't whisper. Faith roars. When faith is rooted deep within you, it's not something you carry quietly. It's something you carry boldly. It doesn't shy away from obstacles, and it doesn't shrink when challenges arise. Faith stands firm and says, I am capable. I am worthy. I will press on. Even when it seems impossible, faith doesn't need permission from fear to move forward. It's not intimidated by what could go wrong, because faith already knows that no matter how difficult the journey, God's plan is greater than any setback. Fear will always show up. That's just part of life. But faith doesn't back down. It rises up in those moments of doubt, louder than the voice of fear. When the storm is raging and the waves are crashing, faith is what keeps you afloat. It's what keeps your head above water when everything else is pulling you under. It doesn't wait for conditions to be perfect to move forward. Faith makes its own path. It finds its own way because it knows that even when the way isn't clear, it's being guided. Fear can try to speak over faith, but it's no match for the power of belief. Fear may be loud, but faith will always be the one that carries you through. Faith doesn't just hear the doubts, it overpowers them. Faith speaks louder, and it moves you to places you never thought you could reach. Divine direction surpasses worldly opinions. In a world where everyone has something to say, where judgments are made in seconds and voices are louder than ever, it's easy to get lost in the noise. People will give you advice, tell you what to do, how to live, and who to be. They'll say, this is the way, this is what works. But God's direction doesn't conform to the world's standards. His guidance doesn't bend to the shifting winds of popular opinion or temporary trends. When you follow divine direction, you are not following the crowd. You're following a purpose, a calling, a plan that has been designed specifically for you. Worldly opinions are fleeting. They come from people who can't see the full picture, who are living their own lives according to their own understanding. Their words are rooted in limited knowledge, in what's been proven in the moment, or what's popular. But divine direction comes from the Creator, the one who sees all, who knows the end from the beginning. When God speaks, he speaks with a wisdom that transcends time and space. He doesn't call you to fit in, he calls you to stand out. His plan for your life isn't confined to what makes sense to the world around you. It may seem risky, unconventional, or even impossible, but it's always right. When you follow divine direction, you trust that God knows more than anyone else. His path may not always be easy, but it's always purposeful. It may not align with the opinions of the crowd, but it will always lead you to where you need to be. And when you're walking in the purpose God has for you, no worldly opinion can shake you, because you know you are being led by something greater than anything the world can offer. God equips those he calls. When he places a purpose in your heart, he doesn't leave you to figure it out on your own. He doesn't send you into battle without armor. Doesn't give you a mission without giving you the tools to succeed. The call may seem daunting, overwhelming, or even impossible at times, but know this: God has already equipped you for everything you will face on that journey. He doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. He doesn't look for perfection, he looks for obedience, for a willing heart, for someone who is ready to trust him. The moment God places a calling on your life, he begins to prepare you. He strengthens your spirit, develops your character, and sharpens your skills. It might not be obvious right away, and it might not come in the form you expect, but rest assured, everything you need to fulfill his plan is being woven into you. The struggles you face today, the challenges you endure, and the lessons you learn are all part of God's divine preparation. He's building resilience in you. He's teaching you patience, perseverance, and faith. He's equipping you for the work that lies ahead. And God doesn't just equip you with natural abilities, he empowers you with his Spirit. The Holy Spirit provides the wisdom, discernment, and strength you need when you don't know what to do next. You won't always have all the answers, but you'll have all the guidance you need. God's provision is not limited by your current circumstances, your past failures, or your own abilities. His equipping is limitless because it comes from a limitless God. When he calls you, he makes sure you have everything you need to walk the path he set before you. The journey alone is preparation for something greater. When you find yourself walking a path that seems isolated, when you feel as though the world is moving on without you, it's easy to question why you are walking alone. But in those moments of solitude, you are being shaped, strengthened, and refined for the purpose that awaits you. God doesn't lead you into isolation to punish you, but to prepare you. The silence, the stillness, the feeling of being alone, these are not signs of abandonment, but of divine preparation. The path you walk, though it may seem lonely, is the very one that will equip you for the greater things ahead. In solitude, there is room for growth. You are not distracted by the noise of others, and you are forced to rely on your own inner strength and connection with God. It's in the quiet moments that you learn to hear his voice more clearly. You develop resilience, patience, and a deep understanding of your own purpose. The struggles you face when no one else is around are the ones that build character. They teach you to trust yourself, to trust God, and to walk with confidence, even when the path is uncertain. This journey is not wasted time. It is the training ground for the greatness that lies ahead. You are being prepared for what God has called you to do, even if you don't see it right now. The challenges, the isolation, the hard lessons, they are all molding you into the person you need to become to fulfill your purpose. So when you find yourself walking alone, don't despair. Embrace it. Understand that this time is necessary, that it is shaping you for something bigger, something greater than you can imagine. Loneliness and destiny often share the same path. The journey to fulfilling your true purpose is not always lined with crowds or companions. In fact, the path to greatness often requires you to walk alone. It's easy to confuse loneliness with abandonment. But what if it's not about being left behind? What if it's about being set apart for something greater? Loneliness isn't necessarily a sign that you've been forgotten. It could be the space where your destiny is being shaped. When you're walking toward your purpose, you often find that not everyone can come with you. The world is filled with distractions, noise, and opinions that can cloud your vision. To truly hear the calling on your life, to understand the direction you need to go, you sometimes have to remove yourself from the familiar. Loneliness becomes a tool for clarity, for growth, for focus. It strips away the unnecessary and forces you to look inward, to rely on God's voice, and to trust in the strength that comes from within. While others may be surrounded by the comfort of companionship, the person on a divine path often stands alone. But they are not truly lonely. They are being prepared, being sharpened, and being led in ways others might not understand. The time spent alone aren't wasted. They are transformative. It's in those quiet, solitary moments that you begin to understand the weight of your calling, the magnitude of your purpose. Loneliness and destiny walk hand in hand because to fulfill a greater purpose, you often must first walk alone. It's in that solitude that you develop the resilience, clarity, and strength needed to fulfill your unique calling. And while the road may seem lonely, it's leading you exactly where you need to go. Her steps are ordered, even if others don't understand them. Life has a way of calling some to paths that seem unclear to the onlookers. People might question her decisions, her timing, or the direction she's going, especially when it doesn't fit into the familiar mold or the expectations of others. They may not see the bigger picture, but she doesn't need them to. She understands that her steps are not random. They are guided by something greater than what the world can see. In moments of uncertainty, when she feels the weight of others' opinions, she remembers that her journey is not for them to understand. She is not walking according to the world's timeline, nor is she living to please the crowd. She is walking in divine alignment. And although others may not comprehend why she is taking the path she is, she knows that her steps are ordered by God. Every turn, every detour, every pause is all part of a plan that is being revealed piece by piece. Sometimes this journey feels like a mystery. The road may be lonely, the decisions may seem hard, and the path may look uncertain. But in every moment of doubt, she trusts that her steps are not in vain. She trusts that every step is purposeful, even if it's not immediately clear to those around her. They may question, they may doubt, but she moves forward with a quiet confidence, knowing that the one who called her will not let her stumble. Her steps are ordered, not by the opinions of the world, but by a divine plan that will lead her exactly where she needs to be. Others may not understand her, but she doesn't need their approval. She only needs to keep walking, knowing she is being guided towards something greater. She walks with invisible strength that shakes the earth. There's a power in her that isn't always visible, but it's undeniable. You won't see it in the way she looks or in the words she speaks. It doesn't come with loud declarations or grand displays. It's the quiet kind of strength that comes from deep within. A strength that's built on faith, resilience, and purpose. It's the kind of strength that doesn't need to be seen, to be felt. Even when the world doesn't acknowledge it, the impact is clear. When she walks, the ground beneath her feet shifts, even if no one notices. Her presence alone causes change, not because of anything she does externally, but because of the way she carries herself internally. She walks with a calm assurance that speaks louder than any noise around her. The storms may rage, the winds may howl, but her foundation remains unshaken. She is rooted in something far greater than the world's fleeting trials. And though her strength is invisible to the eye, its effects ripple through the world around her. Her invisible strength shakes the earth because it's the kind that moves mountains without ever having to touch them. It is a strength that radiates through every decision she makes, every action she takes, and every word she speaks. It influences people without ever trying to. It makes others believe in themselves, even when they didn't before. It transforms situations, not by force, but by the quiet power of her conviction. You might not see her strength, but you'll feel it. It's the kind of strength that lasts, the kind that endures, and the kind that changes everything simply by being present. She walks with invisible strength that shakes the earth, because real power doesn't have to announce itself. It just is being misunderstood as proof of being set apart. When you walk a path that's different from the norm, when your decisions don't align with the expectations of others, there's a natural tendency for people to not understand your choices. They may question you, criticize you, or even try to persuade you to follow the crowd. But that very misunderstanding is often the clearest sign that you are not meant to blend in. You are meant to stand out. Those who are set apart are rarely fully understood by those around them. And that's not a sign of failure. It's a confirmation of your purpose. The world is full of conformity, of people trying to fit into a mold that has already been set for them. It's easier to go along with what's accepted Easier to follow the crowd than to make bold choices that go against the grain. But when you're called to something greater, when you are walking a path that aligns with your divine purpose, you will find that the world may not recognize your worth, and it may not understand why you do what you do. But that misunderstanding is not something to be ashamed of. It's a testament to your uniqueness, to the fact that you're not following the usual route, but carving out your own. Being misunderstood is a sign that you are set apart for something special, something that goes beyond what others can see. You are being shaped for a destiny that others may not comprehend, and that's okay. The most transformative individuals in history were often misunderstood in their time, but their difference is what made them who they were meant to be. So when you're misunderstood, remember it's not a flaw. It's evidence that you're walking in your purpose, doing exactly what you were called to do. True power is quiet, resilient, and steady. It doesn't announce itself with loud gestures or grand displays. It doesn't seek attention or applause. True power doesn't need to be seen to be felt. It's the kind of strength that operates in the background, unwavering, even when the world around it is chaotic. It's in the way a person holds their ground when everything seems to be falling apart, the way they remain calm and focused in the midst of adversity. True power is steady. It doesn't fluctuate with the tide of circumstances. It's not moved by temporary challenges or fleeting emotions. It stands firm, rooted in purpose and conviction. Resilience is the core of true power. It doesn't give up when things get tough. It doesn't crumble under pressure. Instead, it bends, it adapts, and it rises again. Resilience is the ability to keep moving forward, even when the path isn't clear, even when others doubt. It's the ability to get back up every time you fall, to learn and grow from every setback, and to press on, even when the journey feels long and uncertain. True power doesn't quit, it endures. And above all, true power is quiet. It doesn't need to prove itself to anyone. It doesn't need to shout its worth. It simply is. It's the strength that moves mountains but doesn't demand recognition for doing so. It's the kind of strength that can change lives, build legacies, and break barriers, all without making a sound. Quiet power isn't weak. It's profoundly strong, because it's grounded in the understanding that real strength doesn't seek validation or attention. It simply stays steady, unwavering, and always true to its course. She is not lost. She is led. In moments of uncertainty, when the path ahead seems unclear, when the world around her is full of confusion and noise, she doesn't panic, she doesn't falter or question her worth. Instead, she trusts. She trusts in the guidance that's been placed within her, a guidance that transcends what she can see or understand. But she knows she is being led by something greater than herself. Even when it feels like she's wandering, she's not lost. She's in the process of being guided to exactly where she needs to be. There's a quiet assurance in her that tells her she is on the right path, even when the road feels uncertain. She doesn't need the whole picture to move forward. She knows that as long as she takes each step with faith and courage, she will be directed where she's meant to go. While others might doubt or question her journey, she doesn't need their approval. She is led not by the opinions of others, but by a deeper calling. It's the voice of purpose that guides her through the twists and turns, and even when it feels like she's going off course, she trusts that she is always in the hands of something higher. She is not lost because she understands that her path is not random. It is being shaped, led by divine direction, each moment preparing her for the next. The moments that feel like confusion or chaos are simply transitions, and she moves through them with faith, knowing she is being led toward her destiny. And while others may not see it, she knows that she is exactly where she needs to be, walking a path that is unfolding one step at a time.